Hello, my name is Kevin Daniels. I'm the owner of Fixe Hardware, and this is one of a few videos we've put together addressing bolts, anchors, bolting principles, types of materials. This one in particular is about glue-in anchors. Glue-in anchors are quite popular in Europe. I think they've been slow to catch on in the United States for a few different reasons, but I think for a lot of the crags in the US, it's a great anchor, especially when you're dealing with more porous rocks, lesser quality rock, things like that, sandstone, limestones. Obviously that's pretty typical type of rock for Europe, and I think that that's why there's a lot more being used in Europe. That said, there's a few different types by a few different manufacturers. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the product made by Fixe. There's different lengths. For the most part, they're all, I would say, 304 stainless steel, or hope they are. I know that the product that Fixe makes is out of a 304 stainless. Our products all have a CE certification. The standard is a 10 millimeter diameter. 3/8, close to 3/8. We do have something in a 1/2 inch, and we have more of a wire type versus a rod stock type with a weld. We also discussed in one of the other videos titanium. This is a titanium unit, and most titanium anchors that I'm aware of, I think Ushiba makes one, but most of them are made by individuals or by companies for individuals. They're a little harder to get. So the first thing you want to do is kind of identify the diameter length glue-in you want to use. Obviously, a longer glue-in is going to be the proper choice for a softer rock, maybe some desert tower or something like that. Once you've decided the diameter of the glue-in you want to use, you need to decide and do some research on the proper diameter bit. The way a glue-in works is you actually are creating the anchor via the glue penetrating the holes in the medium. So that's one of the reasons why glue-ins really work well in softer type rock, where you actually get some penetration of the glue into the pores of the rock, versus in harder rocks, yes, it'll work, but a mechanical anchor in some instances is actually a better anchor for that application. So ideally, this being a 3/8 inch glue-in to millimeter, we're going to be drilling a hole that's 1/2 inch in diameter. So we're going to have glue completely surrounding, protecting and encasing this stainless shaft. We've got about 3.5 inches of penetration. So I would drill this hole 1/2 inch in diameter and at least 4 to 4 1/4 inches deep. We recommend that instead of placing this, in a complete horizontal, to give it a little bit of a tilt, so you actually get a little bit of leverage and a wedge type effect. I want to say 15 degrees. On the website, the Fixe Hardware website, where these glue-ins are discussed, and you can view them and purchase them, there's a really nice diagram that's been done by a gentleman for us, and it really shows in detail each step of this process I'm talking about. And I suggest that if you are going to go down this road and start to use some glue-ins of any type, take some time and kind of look at that, because there's some great things to learn from that. That said, what I've done is I've gone ahead in our silo here and drilled some holes for some of the other anchors, and I've kind of prepared this hole already. This concrete is got a lot of rock in it, so it's not ideally suited for what we're doing, but this should kind of just quickly illustrate the installation process. So as I said, you want about 10 to 15 degree downward angle on this, so you're actually getting some leverage as well. And ideally you want to kind of embed this V into the stone a little bit as well. So when you're finished, your anchor's sort of looking about like this. So what we do to start this is actually kind of drill a downward and upward V, remove a little bit of material, and then go ahead and drill this, this shaft hole, which is what I've done here. Let's see here. Got this 1/2 inch bit in my drill, if I can get it to go in here. There we go. So I started this hole before I even drilled this this 15 to 20 degree angled hole. I actually came up from below, took a little bit of material out of the bottom. I dropped in from above, took a little bit of material out, and actually kind of cleaned, you know, some of that material out before I actually drilled my 1/2 inch 10 to 15 degree hole. And what you can see here is when I slide this in, hopefully you can see from that angle, but the weld goes up. You can see how it kind of seats nicely into that rock. So once this is filled with glue, you're going to have a really nice kind of low profile anchor that carabiner can drop into nicely. One of the things that is really important about the glue-ins is first, the proper hole size, being diameter and length. Secondly, you really need to clean the hole really well, because that dust and such that's left in the hole is going to clog those pores, whether it's concrete, sandstone, limestone, and you really want to open those pores up so that that glue can really saturate the rock itself. I've seen glue-in anchors that have been pulled out of test rocks and such, and it's amazing because you'll pull these guys out and basically you'll have just a big plug, a glue and stone plug. So really what is failing is the rock around the glue. It's not as if this steel shaft is being pulled out of the glue. So our best case scenario is to create that nice big glue plug. I know there's some glue-ins on the market right now that are a wire type, more of a spiraled twist, and they're actually being driven into the hole. They put glue into the hole, but they also drive it into the hole almost as a mechanical anchor. So there's actually some connection and some connecting of the actual outside of the glue-in and the inside of the hole. And when I talked to our engineers about that, I said, hey, you know, this is kind of an interesting idea, and I showed it to them. And their response was really that it's a nice anchor, but they're not interested in doing anything like that. What they want is the glue to make as much surface contact with the inside of the hole as possible. If we're going to use a mechanical anchor, use a mechanical anchor. I think trying to turn a glue into a combination of a mechanical anchor and a glue-in kind of defeats the purpose of the glue-in in the first place. What you want to do is to create as much surface contact with that glue and the surface of the inside of the hole as possible. So that said, a brush, a bottle brush, really need to clean out these holes, and whether you use a blow tube or some type of blowout bulb, really taking the time to make sure that the hole's really clean is going to really be helpful. You know, during this process, it can be really challenging because you might find yourself on the side of an overhanging cliff face or something like that. One of the reasons that I really like the Fixe triplex bolt, and that one of the reasons it's been really successful is being it's a removable bolt, you can place that bolt, and then when you're ready to install your glue-ins, you can remove that bolt and use the same hole to place your glue-in in. So that combination works really well. I've got quite a few friends that use them in Thailand and setting up their routes, and they work really well. So we're going to assume that this hole is quite clean, as clean as we can get it. The next thing we're going to kind of talk about here quickly is the glues themselves. This is a Lapafil product. It's a European product. It's what we sell. Unfortunately, it's an expensive product. That said, I think it's probably, from what I understand, one of the best products you can use. Hilti makes a good product. Powers makes a good product. All these products are basically two-part epoxies. Inside this cartridge is split in two on the inside, one side being a catalyst, the other side being an epoxy. And this tip, the spiral tip, is actually where the mixing takes place. You can see kind of a spiral type insert that mixes the two glue parts together. Glue capsules are also an option, and there's a few different companies that make them. I would suggest, and it's my experience, unless you've done a lot of installation of glue-in type products, this type of a glue in some type of a caulking gun with a mixing tip is really the way to go. I think it's more cost effective. I think you get a better end product because the mixing of the two is a lot more uniform. So this particular product, this Lapafil, you've got a particular gun that you use with it. They also make products that'll fit into a regular caulking gun. What I always do with these glue-ins is, you know, when you're dealing with a vertical scenario like this, it's quite easy for this glue-in to, you know, be installed and it stays in place. As soon as the angle starts to get somewhat overhanging, it gets a little bit more challenging, because not only you're trying to keep this glue in the hole, but you're trying to keep this glue in the hole. So it's somewhat standard procedure to, you know, take duct tape. If, say, this surface was 10 degrees, 15 degrees overhanging, put a bunch of duct tape in here, around here, cover this whole thing, cut a slit in this where you can pump your glue in. You'll be able to then, you know, slide this glue in through the duct tape. You're going to get some spillage. The duct tape kind of helps with that. And then, you know, you'll end up kind of covering this with duct tape and creating kind of this big bandage patch to hold this thing on. There are some products, some plastic inserts that you can insert into the hole that will help kind of, you know, keep this glue in, kind of keep it from wanting to slide out. They work okay sometimes. Duct tape is probably what's used most of the time. Back to the glue, you want to make sure there's a working range with all of these different products. The air temperature is going to affect the curing time, so you want to read the manufacturer's information for each of these products, and they're going to tell you working times based on temperatures, temperature ranges to use them, to not use them. Spend some time, go to the Powers Fasteners website, go to Hilti website. You can go to the Fixe hardware website and look at the different glues we sell and get that information. Until you've installed some of these, it's going to be a little bit tough to know how much glue to pump in the hole. What I normally tell people is, you know, in the beginning, put more in, make sure you've got enough in there. And once you kind of get a hang of it, you'll kind of, you know, get it figured out. Okay, it's 2 squeezes, it's 3 squeezes. And then as you insert this glue in, you know, as I'm inserting it, I do a little bit of rotating it, and you are going to get some spillage and such. It's going to want to ooze out of the hole. That said, let's pump this guy up. So first thing I do here, kind of get this glue coming out, and you can feel when it starts engaging. There it comes. Come on. Come on. There we go. So, take a little pressure off of it. So you're going to drop this baby in the hole. I take it all the way to the back of the hole. Basically start by slowly withdrawing it as I pump in glue. That said, when I get about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch From the surface, I stop, take my glue in, make sure it's clean. I'll insert this, and as I insert it, you know, you're going to have a little bit of air that wants to escape, but I twist this thing. What I didn't do here is put my duct tape on the wall. When you're done, you're going to want that weld to be up. That said, you can get pretty creative with this stuff. You know, we've got a black surface we're working with here, but if you take a little bit of sand, you know, or rock dust or something, you can actually do a pretty good job of filling this in, you know, and really kind of creating a decent looking anchor with some dust and sand and such. I'd probably want to take a little bit of glue and just kind of make sure I've got this filled in nicely. Try and help to keep water and such from penetrating, getting inside there. And that, for the most part, is what we're looking at. When I'm done with this, I'll clean off any extra glue. I'll obviously let it dry for the recommended time. If this was on a route, I would obviously have some kind of notification on the first bolt letting people know just what's going on if it was an area that was getting climbed. That said, the gluing, you know, I've been selling this product for 20 years and it's slowly, I think, starting to catch on. Yeah, I think it's a great product. I think any time that we're using mechanical anchors and history is showing us that they're needing to be replaced, or we're replacing them with any frequency, I think to spend the time and energy and go with the glue and bolt is the way to go. I think for the most part that's covered it all. Please refer to the installation instructions and such that comes with the product, and that's available on the website. My name is Kevin Daniels. If you guys have any further questions, if I could be of assistance, please give us a call. Let me know. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.